The air in the conference room was frigid, not from the temperature but from the atmosphere. Sunlight spilled through the massive windows of the 21st floor boardroom in downtown Los Angeles, catching the gleam of polished glass and steel. Around the long oval table, well-dressed executives murmured among themselves, exchanging confident nods and clipped laughs. No one looked Andre Johnson's way. He sat near the end of the table, a folder resting neatly in front of him, fingers tapping silently on his thigh. His laptop was open, presentation queued. For the fourth time that morning, he cleared his throat. No one heard. No one cared. Next up, we'll hear from Horizon Data on Logistics AI, announced one of the senior partners. The name wasn't his. Andre blinked, stiffened. His time slot was being skipped. Just as he reached to quietly shut his laptop and gather his materials, a soft voice from across the room cut through his thoughts. But before we continue with this emotional journey of resilience and solidarity, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more real-life stories that matter. Andre Johnson was 32 years old. A software engineer, coder and founder of Gridlink, a logistics platform designed to optimize deliveries in underserved neighborhoods. The idea came from watching his mother wait hours for prescriptions, groceries or basic necessities to arrive, when they did at all. Born in the south side of Atlanta, raised by a single mother who juggled 3 jobs, Andre's intelligence had always been his escape. Scholarships took him to Stanford, long nights of coding built his future, but success had never come easily. Not when he didn't look the part, not when rooms like this made him feel like he didn't belong. The boardroom was stark and modern. It smelled faintly of citrus polish and too much cologne. Along the windows stood a spread of miniature bottles of imported water, untouched. Men in bespoke suits leaned back, casually scrolling through phones. On the glass wall hung a large digital clock. Time moved, and so did the meeting without Andre. As Horizon Data began their sleek, over-rehearsed pitch, Andre sat back, lips pressed into a line. The partner who had confirmed his time slot the night before avoided eye contact. Others looked through him as if he were a misplaced intern. The PowerPoint slide with his name and company logo never appeared. He felt the familiar ache, disappointment dressed in invisibility. It wasn't the first time. Still, he reached for his bag, trying to leave with dignity. But then, the door swung open, conversations paused, heads turned. The temperature in the room shifted in an instant. In walked Magic Johnson, not a representative, not a Zoom call, the man himself. Towering, smiling, wearing a tailored navy blue suit and a quiet presence that demanded attention. Executives stood up in a flurry of chairs. A chorus of "Magic" and "Good to see you" filled the space like static. Hands were offered, smiles widened, phones were subtly pulled out to capture the moment. The energy shifted from indifference to electric. Andre remained seated, his hands frozen on the zipper of his laptop bag. He hadn't expected this. Magic scanned the room as if taking mental notes, nodding slightly, returning greetings. Then his eyes landed on Andre. His smile deepened. With confident steps, he walked straight past the ring of executives and offered Andre a firm handshake. "My man," Magic said warmly, his voice deep and clear. "I've been looking forward to your pitch all week." Andre blinked. You have?" "Absolutely," Magic replied. "Been reading up on Gridlink." "You've built something special." A hush fell over the room. The executives who had overlooked Andre now stared. Eyes widened, hands dropped to their sides. The air, once thick with casual dismissal, now crackled with uncomfortable realization. Magic straightened up and turned to the group. "Has Andre presented yet?" A silence. Shuffling papers, a cough. There was some confusion on the agenda," someone murmured. Magic raised a brow. "Let's fix that." And just like that, the table was reset. Magic Johnson's presence had transformed the room. The chatter subsided, replaced by an almost reverent silence. Even the executives who just minutes earlier seemed entirely in control now waited, unsure how to proceed. Magic didn't wait for them. He turned fully toward Andre, his posture open, commanding yet welcoming. "Come on, let's get your deck up," Magic said, gesturing toward the front of the room. Andre hesitated. His heart pounded in his chest. He looked around, half expecting someone to object, to correct the interruption, to reinstate the proper order of the meeting. But no one moved. No one dared. With trembling hands, Andre reopened his laptop, reconnecting the HDMI cable. The screen blinked to life with his first slide. GridLink, smart logistics for every zip code. Magic took a seat directly beside him, not at the head of the table, but next to Andre's humble laptop. It was a quiet, visible statement. I'm with him. The room watched in silence. Whenever you're ready, Magic said, giving Andre a slight nod. Andre took a breath. He began slowly. Good morning. My name is Andre Johnson. I'm the founder of GridLink, a platform designed to streamline delivery logistics in underserved and overlooked communities. Our mission is to ensure that a family living 10 miles outside the city has the same delivery speed and reliability as a penthouse downtown. At first, the words were formal, stiff. Years of practice collided with the weight of the moment. But then, something changed. As Andre clicked through his slides, detailing data models, supply chain bottlenecks, predictive route algorithms, his voice began to steady. He wasn't just pitching, he was telling a story. His story. I built this because my mother once waited 3 days for a prescription to arrive. We lived 10 miles from the pharmacy. 10 miles, but no one delivered to us. That's when I realized the problem isn't infrastructure. It's attention. It's that no one is looking at the right places. Magic nodded along, visibly engaged. Around the table, executives leaned in. Phones were set down. Notebooks opened. The same people who had dismissed him were now listening, truly listening. Andre kept going, this time with conviction. We use a blend of geospatial AI and real-time local traffic data to redirect and optimize delivery routes in under-networked neighborhoods. Our beta test in South Atlanta cut average delivery times by 38% and reduced last-mile costs by 22%. He paused, letting the numbers speak. Then, imagine what happens when access is normalized, when people don't have to fight for convenience. When equity is embedded in logistics. The room was still. Magic spoke for the first time since the pitch began. This, he said, is what I'm talking about. Innovation with impact. He turned to the board. You know how many people come through here asking for funding for the next social app or luxury product? This is infrastructure. This is dignity. Why did it take me walking in here for this man to get a chance to speak? No one answered. Some looked down. Others shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Magic continued. Andre shouldn't need me here. But since I am, let's make sure this moment counts. Andre's hands were still trembling slightly, but his chest felt light. He had spoken. He had been heard. And more than that, he had been believed in. For the first time in that sterile boardroom, he felt something crack open inside, a sense of place, of belonging. The doubt that had hovered over his shoulders like a shadow began to retreat. The meeting wasn't over, but something much bigger had just begun. Andre stood a little straighter now, his confidence building with every sentence. The tension that had once wrapped around his chest like iron bands began to loosen. What started as a simple pitch had become a revelation, not just for him, but for everyone in that room. He advanced to the next slide. Charts appeared, urban coverage gaps, delivery latency maps, cost differentials between zip codes. Andre explained how GridLink's algorithms adapted in real time, rerouting delivery vehicles to avoid traffic spikes and environmental delays. Most delivery platforms avoid low-income areas because they're deemed unprofitable, he said, his voice firm now. But our model proves the opposite. With optimized routing, reduced idle time, and local driver integration, these areas are not only serviceable, they're lucrative. Heads nodded. One executive leaned forward, peering at the cost analysis. Another tapped his pen thoughtfully against the table. The shift was unmistakable. Doubt had turned into interest, skepticism had become curiosity. But what made the room lean in wasn't just numbers. It was heart. Andre paused briefly, then stepped to the side of the screen. When I was a kid, we couldn't afford a car. Every week I'd take 2 buses and walk 15 minutes just to get groceries, and I remember thinking, why does it have to be this hard? Why does geography decide convenience? He looked around the room, meeting eyes one by one. That question stayed with me. Gridlink is my answer. Magic watched him with pride. He didn't need to speak. His presence beside Andre, solid, grounded, resolute, was more powerful than applause. Andre clicked to the final slide. A rollout plan for 3 major cities, all with large, underserved populations. He outlined projected savings, local job creation and community impact. Silence followed, and then, "Tell me more about your beta partnerships," one investor said. "What's your scaling timeline?" asked another. Andre responded smoothly, walking them through pilot data, user feedback, and vendor onboarding protocols. They asked, he answered. He owned every word. The man who had once been invisible now commanded the room. When he finally finished, there were no dramatic gasps, no standing ovation, just quiet, intense energy, the kind that follows something real. One of the senior partners cleared his throat. "I'd like to schedule a follow-up this week. Our team would be interested in a funding round." Another added, "We've got logistics partners who'd want to test this in Detroit." And another, "I'll be reaching out. I think there's room to bring you into our innovation grant stream." Andre's knees nearly buckled. He nodded, eyes wide. "Thank you, I appreciate the opportunity." Magic leaned back with a satisfied smile. "Told you he was special." Andre turned to him. I don't even know how to thank you." "You just did," Magic said. "You showed up. You didn't walk out, even when they tried to pretend you weren't here. That's power." Andre's eyes welled up, not with sadness, but relief, validation, joy. He had pitched. And this time, the world had listened. The next morning, Andre's phone buzzed non-stop. Dozens of missed calls, hundreds of notifications. His email was flooded. Something had happened overnight. A junior associate at the firm had filmed a short clip from the meeting, just a few seconds of Magic Johnson entering the boardroom, shaking Andre's hand and saying, "Been looking forward to your pitch." The video, posted with the caption, "When Magic sees what others overlook," had exploded across social media. See, Andre was trending by noon. Influencers reposted it with captions about unconscious bias. Business leaders weighed in on the importance of visibility. News outlets reached out, asking for interviews. Andre, who had walked into that room, practically anonymous, had become a symbol of something far bigger than himself. Magic shared the clip on his own Twitter account with a simple message: "Brilliance doesn't need a spotlight, it just needs to be seen." The media storm came quickly. Morning shows played the clip on repeat, analyzing it like a turning point. Panel discussions formed around equity in boardrooms. Andre was invited to speak on NPR. CNBC ran a profile on Gridlink. It was no longer just about logistics. It was about recognition. One viral post read, "Imagine how many Andres have been overlooked because no one like Magic was in the room." Another said, "Every company needs a Magic Johnson, but more importantly, they need to stop ignoring the Andre Johnsons." The conversation spread beyond tech. Teachers talked about how they saw the same dynamic in classrooms. Medical professionals described similar patterns in hospitals. The silence around systemic exclusion was breaking. And through it all, Andre remained humble, focused, but overwhelmed. Late one evening, Magic posted a video from his home office. He wore a simple sweater, no flash, no production, just sincerity. "I didn't do anything special," he said. "I did what we all should be doing." I recognized genius where it was. Andre didn't need me to validate him. His work speaks for itself, but sometimes the room isn't ready to hear that voice unless someone they respect turns the volume up. He looked into the camera, eyes steady. "We've got to do better, all of us. If you're in a room with power and you see someone being overlooked, say something, lift them up. Share the table." The video reached millions. CEOs reposted it. Universities shared it with students. Andre's inbox multiplied again. Andre finally broke his silence with a post of his own. It was a photo of him in front of a whiteboard, diagrams and algorithms scribbled behind him captioned, I almost walked out of that room, almost packed up my bag and let silence win. Thank you, Magic, for seeing me when others wouldn't. But this isn't just my story. This is every black founder, every woman, every immigrant, every outsider who's ever been told to wait their turn. We're done waiting. He ended the post with a link to a new initiative, Grid Mentor, a mentorship pipeline for entrepreneurs from marginalized backgrounds. Within hours, donations rolled in. Volunteers signed up. The movement had begun. Weeks passed and the noise didn't die down, it evolved. Andre Johnson was no longer just the founder of a promising logistics platform. He had become a voice, a presence, someone who had endured invisibility, then turned it into a beacon for others. GridLink secured funding from 3 major investment groups within 2 months. Magic Johnson was one of the lead backers. The company expanded swiftly into Detroit, Chicago, and Oakland. Each launch was met with excitement, but more importantly, with impact. Delivery times dropped. Local drivers were hired. Small businesses that once struggled to fulfill orders saw new life. GridLink wasn't just streamlining logistics. It was restoring trust in systems that had long excluded entire neighborhoods. Andre made a point of visiting every city before rollout. He didn't stay in luxury hotels. He stayed in the neighborhoods he was serving. He walked the streets, listened to local stories, adjusted the platform based on real needs. GridLink wasn't just for communities. It was built with them. The ripple effect spread beyond the app. Venture capital firms began reassessing their selection processes. Some added anonymous pitch rounds. Others introduced external observers for bias accountability. Conversations that had once been awkward or avoided were now central to quarterly reviews. Andre was invited to speak at the National Tech Equity Conference. His keynote was raw and quiet, not fiery, but it struck a chord. "I wasn't overlooked because I lacked merit," he said. "I was overlooked because the system wasn't designed to see me. And I know I'm not alone. But if we rebuild these systems with intention, with equity in their DNA, then brilliance won't be the exception. It will be the norm." Applause thundered. That speech alone inspired several universities to integrate inclusive innovation modules into their business curricula. Months later, Andre returned to Atlanta. The same streets that had once felt like limitations now welcomed him like family. He visited his old middle school, standing in front of kids who reminded him of himself, bright-eyed, eager, but unsure of the world waiting for them. "You know," he told them, "a lot of people didn't see me for a long time, but that didn't mean I wasn't here. You don't need everyone to believe in you. You just need to keep showing up." One student raised her hand. "But what if they keep ignoring us?" Andre smiled, "Then build something so strong they can't ignore it." After the talk, kids swarmed him for selfies, autographs, and hugs. A boy no older than 12 looked up at him and said, "You did it, Mr. Johnson." Andre knelt to meet his eyes. "No, we did it." As the sun set that evening, Andre sat on a rooftop with Magic, overlooking the Atlanta skyline. "You realize this is just the beginning, right?" Magic said. Andre nodded. "Yeah, but it's a good beginning." Magic clapped him on the back. "Proud of you, man. The world's catching up to what you've always been." They sat in comfortable silence, 2 men from different generations, bound by a shared truth. Visibility matters, voice matters, and the power of one moment, one choice, to see, to speak, to stand beside someone, can echo farther than any of them ever imagined. If this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories that deserve to be heard. And if you want to see another powerful story of unseen brilliance being recognized, click the next video on your screen. We promise, it's one you won't forget.